but is now available. It looks at all the FMCSA data right away. It gives you a quick, easy score to understand, gives you the alerts. You don't need to mess around. You can move on with your life. There's API integration. Go check it out. It's free, carrierassure.com. I'm very excited to hear your thoughts. You can always message me and tell me what you think. And check out our beautiful website too. I'm very excited about it. So today we are going to talk to, speaking of technology, we're going to talk to a very sexy brokerage based out of New York City. You want to learn who is ahead of the industry when it comes to technology. And if you're a shipper and you're looking for somebody who's tech savvy, this is going to be your company. I'm very excited to introduce Jonathan Salama, who for a while, Jonathan, I did not know your name was Jonathan. I only knew you as Salama. So I got a message from somebody on your team that was like, when is Jonathan going to be on your show? And I was like, who's Jonathan? And I was like, oh, you mean Salama. So welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you very, very much for doing this.
Well, thanks for having me.
And welcome to the party, by the way. Okay, you guys, I want everybody to know that Salama, possibly up until a few hours ago, didn't really even know he was going to be on MadGaines Live. It got I did a very sneaky thing. So two of my really, really good friends, right? Guy Byers, who's been on the show multiple times, Beth Howard, who's been on the show multiple times, my best friends, right? Both of them at the same time go over to work for Transfix, and that's Salama's company. And I'm like, Transfix, I know I've heard of Transfix, and I start digging into Transfix. I'm all excited. I have Beth on my show. Guy's going to come on soon. And I meet Salama. And Salama, Jonathan, I loved you when I met you. You were the most interesting person ever. And what I was told,
that's a high bar.
What I was told, I was like, how do I get him on my show? And I was told that your calendar looks like a crazy shit show, like meetings over meetings, and you have people who manage it for you. It's not that bad because it sounded like I was drinking when we were talking about this. But I was like, whoa, his calendar
it's not great. But I can always make time.
So I texted Guy, and I was like, Guy, how do we get Salama on the show? And he was like, here's this secret person that has secret access to his calendar. We'll just book it. And I was like, do it, go, before he knows. So when did you find out you were on the show?
Last night, actually, last night. Last night I looked at my calendar and I was like, MadGaines. I mean, maybe they want to tell me somebody on my team is going on the show. So I just clicked on it and I was like, I'm the only one invited. It's curious. So then I saw our marketing team set up a prep right beforehand, and it was
they had it covered.
So it's happening. They had it covered.
So what kind of marketing things did they tell you? They don't curse, give a tagline. We want you to say this. Like, I imagine how those meetings go.
No, it's a lot more relaxed than that. It's just like it's more like public speaking is something that I'm currently trying to do more of, and so there are more tips and tricks around what to do, what not to do. For instance, never apologize. This is something I
really.
I don't know if it puts more attention on the mistake you just made versus moving on, things like that.
Huh.
It's interesting.
Oh, man.
Very interesting.
And maybe they need to coach me because I'm always like, oh, sorry, guys. I just knocked everything over and the camera went flying across the room.
I think that's probably fine. I think that's probably fine. That's part of the charm. But, yeah.
Okay, so I don't believe that public speaking is on your things to strengthen list because you presented recently at FreightWaves, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We launched our brand new sourcing tool, and I definitely did need training. I spent many hours training for it, but
really?
Worth it.
You seem like you're pretty good at it. So tell us about the product because I love the tech that you guys do. I think I spent a lot of time with a lot of your employees talking about it because I think it's so interesting what you guys are doing over there at Transfix. So, but what's the new hottest thing for you right now that you rolled out as FreightWaves?
So it came to us like it was it came to us about 2 months ago or so, or 3 months ago. Time is a weird construct. It moves fast and slow at the same time. Anyway,
It really does.
so
And just so you know, those
so
people
weird.
who were not in development, Salama, they think it just came to them. They're like, "Oh, this new product just came to me. Thank you."
Like,
And you're like,
came to me. So
I'm sorry.
we sort of that's okay. We were looking into like we're obviously always looking at the market, and like there's been this like trending like curve down, and like how do you? We kept thinking like how if we're in our customer shoes, how do we want to react? And then most importantly, the market's not going to go down forever. At some point, it'll come back up. At some point, they'll stabilize for a few months, and it's always this like moving things. But shippers are stuck in 12-month contracts, right? And there's multiple reasons for that. It takes them a very long time for it to process an RFP. It provides security. It provides also like the ability to forecast. Like this is probably going to be my cost for the next 12 months, but it doesn't optimize. It over skewed on forecast, and it's the forecast. I would argue is not. It's mostly wrong anyway because it follows the market. So we thought like, okay, if we put ourselves in some of our customers' shoes, and we brought a few along and like asked a lot of like did a lot of like working session and talk through it. And to me, if I'm in procurement, right, I want to try to set up my RFP as fast as possible, and I want to work on the relationship. I want to work on the negotiation. I don't want to work on the process. Like, I don't want to be entering data in spreadsheets and reading it and compiling it. Like that's not what I want to do. So if with that concept in mind, like how do you make the RFP faster, and how do you model it to be like part of like a proper timeline, not just 12 months, but like how do you understand it? And so we thought like there's like 4 categories of freight if you like that we sort of came up with, but like the first is the simplest one that I think a lot of shippers, like some shippers do today, and but a lot don't. If you know the market is going to be flat for the next 3 months or 4 months or whatever, right? We have like different algorithms that will predict like those kind of things. But if we know point A to point B is going to be somewhat like flat or maybe going slightly up for the next 3 months, why add this lane to your 12 months RFP to be anchored either higher, like anchored higher when you have a carrier in that lane performing? You should reward that carrier. They just perform for you for the duration of your contract. And now by giving them that freight again, you're still paying at market. Why go through the trouble, right? So if you've got a list of lanes that you don't have to put within this RFP process, if you have a tool in place, like our tool that we just launched that tells you like, hey, these set of lanes, just go back to your carrier, tell them you want to extend, and if they accept, it's a win-win for both of you.
Oh, that's smart.
Right? That just like from there you like.
So it identifies the proper lanes.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I'm hearing. It identifies the proper lanes and the proper time, and tells you, hey, go and extend this with these carriers. Damn, that's right. Nice. I don't think anybody's working on procurement tools like that. That's so cool.
I hope not, but who knows? I mean, it's really cool that like the entire industry is like really since the last like 8 months to a year, it's feeling like more energy to new products. So it's kind of cool. But if you think about it, right, like that just like we identify a set of lanes where you have good carriers, good service, and the proper rate and so we removing those. Now your RFP is smaller, like, but we didn't stop there. Then there's 2 other buckets that would like somewhat like remove remove the need of like contract. Like one, like the obvious one is spot. I don't think like there's this. Oh, I only use the spot market when I want to optimize my cost. But I also think that like when you want to have less headache, if you're on the procurement team, and the sales team has been telling you you're going to need 100 truckloads for this year, and they've been telling you that for 10 years, and every year they've fulfilled 1. Like at some point, like there's some tools in place that should be telling you like, hey, you don't need to contract this lane. You're gonna get very little volume. You don't know when that's gonna hit, and the timing matters a lot when you think about that price, right? So you might have it contracted for $1,000, but then you actually get the load on a high season, you're gonna pay more. And like now that forecast is like kind of became obsolete. So so that's another bucket we take off. Then we have our own cost plus mechanism on top of like as a third bucket. And that's when like we see benefits from this on lane who we know are going to like decrease or if you have sporadic volume. By that I mean like you tell us you're going to have 100 shipments a year, but you have all that 100 falls in July, right? Like it is much different than saying like I'm going to contract for 12 months or 100 shipments. And if you give us like if one shipper gives us their procurement data for like a few couple of years, like we can train our model, we can train our machine learning model so that like it understands like, hey, these should go to spot. You're not going to have the volume. These should go to cost plus. These should go to your current carriers who are contracting. And so now you have a much smaller set of lanes you have to worry about on contract. These are the lanes you have like you don't have core carriers, you have consistent volume, and you've showed you like the market on those lanes is sort of like well known. There are many lanes that have like well known market that doesn't go like it can go up and down, but it's predictable, right? And so within those we do this, and then we on top of it we plan on providing your typical RFP tool so that like a bunch of companies have launched, but that's a straightforward part, right? That's just a process getting the load contracted. But yeah, that's what we presented.
What? So I'm hearing all these smart ideas, and the first thing I think, wait, what are you drinking? Is that Modelo?
Oh, beer. Yeah, Modelo.
What kind? I think it's Modelo. Oh, that's mine too. See, this is why we're like kindred spirits. Do you see that?
That's my go-to. It's simple.
We drink the same beer.
I like it.
Like, how do you feel about Beth Howard's beer of choice?
What is it?
It was Bud Light. It was Bud Light. She said she loves Bud Light. She drank it every day. She has Bud Light earrings that she wanted to wear on my show one day. Like, I think it's the Alabama.
Any light beer. I have problem with, but Budweiser actually I don't mind. It's kind of good. I like it, but
so
any light beer, not my thing.
Wait, what about I have Corona Light?
Yeah, not my thing.
This one's too bad. Have you tried this one?
I haven't actually.
Really?
I haven't tried, so I won't comment. But yeah, I'd much rather do a normal. I like Corona.
Yeah, Corona's good. What's behind you? I see candy.
Oh yeah, I have a stash of candy. Like I have massive. I have a terrible sweet tooth. So I eat
candy. Gets you through the day.
I mean, like this jar was full on Monday. This one right there. So I have problems. And it's well known around our office. Like I don't like. I will take bribe of candy if you want something built quickly. I will absolutely take it. Give me a pack of gummy bears and done. It's built.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I
it's
love gummy bears.
Quite awful.
And will you share the candy?
Depends with who. Hey, if you come to visit, we'll share our candy, but it's an honor. You should know.
Okay. That was okay. I want you guys to know that he thought of that. That was smooth, Salama, because I want you guys to know that we had a meeting a couple days ago, and the answer immediately was no, and it was like vehement. It was like come across the camera. Better not go near my candy. But he's smooth. This is how smooth he is. He claims that he can't public speak or whatever. And this is how smooth you are. You're like, oh, but if you come, I'll share my candy with you.
Smooth, I have to say that.
Are you okay? That's true. You probably say that in customer meetings too when they see that.
Yeah. You want some candy? Sure. I'll share.
Yes. Sign that check.
That's how much I care about customers. Tells you a lot.
That's a good thing. I hear you. Okay, so there's a story. And I don't know if I never asked anybody if you felt comfortable sharing with it, but sharing it. However,
Like,
I learned about it and I thought it was a great story, which is you are okay. So you're from France, right?
mhm.
And that's where the really sexy accent that all the women know that's come from.
Thanks.
And then you went to Miami for undergrad, right?
Yeah,
And which I'm sure was very interesting.
it was
And
awesome.
then tell us your story and how you got into freight, because I love asking
Yeah,
people how they got into freight because all of us just fell into it. But
yeah. I
I think
kind of
this story is so fun.
you can say I kind of fell into it in a little bit, although it's maybe a little bit calculated too. So like from Miami, I went to Microsoft, and Microsoft's a great company, but it wasn't for me. I wanted much smaller. I wanted like to feel the a much faster environment. I was working on Microsoft Word, who wasn't. It was I'm old. It was a while ago, and it wasn't on the cloud. It was still on CD. So like our releases were like year long, and I just wanted fast pace. So I moved to New York, and I joined a company called Guild Group. Um, I much Yeah. So I was early there. Very like I forgot how many engineers, maybe five, six. Uh, it was the early days. Like my first week, we had our million member party. So like we just hit our first million member, and that, believe it or not, was the early days of Guild. Loved it. I spent 4 years there, and then I decided to join another startup. So I moved to San Francisco, um, and got actually married there. I met my wife at Guild, and I made a move to San Francisco to go to that startup. So a year
Oh,
later,
good woman.
yeah. Well, wait. So although she's still great, but a year later,
Because I was waiting for,
um,
I was like, oh wait, she's not great anymore.
no, she's still amazing. Uh, but a year later, the startup I worked at got
Salama, this is
bought by
one of the
Lyft.
moments where you do say, I'm sorry. I just
Oh
want you to
yeah,
know that.
my bad. When she watches it, she'll know. She's been with me long enough. She knows. Um, but a year
Okay, sorry.
later,
Keep going.
we got we got acquired by Lyft, and my wife at the time was like, okay, yeah, I moved for you to San Francisco. That was nice. I'm going back to New York. You can you can come or not, but I'm moving back to New York. And sometime I can be smart too, and I said I'll follow you back. So we moved back to New York, and I just wanted to start something. I joined two companies in very, very early days. I wanted to feel the growth, and I wanted to move. Um, so I started networking. I started doing some consulting on the side, and through that process, I met a friend who is a VC, is an investor, and kept pitching it different ideas, and he hated every one of them. Didn't like any of them. None of them. They and like, but that process taught me a lot because they were like it helped me narrowed what I was looking for. Right, in one idea was too niche. There wasn't big enough. Another one was like gonna be too complicated to get started. How do you sell it? As an engineer, I was only focused on like this is how I'm gonna build it, but not how I'm gonna sell it. And talking to him, I realized like, okay, I think I need a partner. I think I need somebody with me that's gonna push this. And then at some point, he's like, hey, like I've heard a bunch of your ideas. You should pause on getting your own and talk to my friend. He's the opposite of you. He doesn't know how to start this, but he knows like what he has an idea. That's when I met Drew, my co-founder. We met at a bar. And over beers, he kept telling me more about trucking, and then I fell in love with it. I like it 8.5 years ago.
You were like, this is a shit show.
I was like,
with no technology.
whoa, what
This
you
is
still
great.
do what? Um, so
the drivers still sign pieces of paper and then hand it over to the shipper, consignee delivery, and sign it.
I was like, wait, and to get paid, they mail it, or they eat, they do what? I felt very passionate.
Wait, we still use the fax. I want you to know fax. Yeah. A fax number is still real in our industry.
We have a fax number. It's just we do. But anyway, so I fell in love with the industry, and it had like everything I was looking for. But one thing that I found since day one has been particularly interesting is, so if you think about ESG, like we put out our ESG report, right? But if you think about like sustainability, most companies have to invest in getting greener, but that doesn't, like, other than getting greener, it doesn't hit their bottom line in a way that like is like beneficial. But in trucking, it's incredibly interesting how we can work on reducing empty miles. It impacts our shipper's bottom line, it impacts our carrier's bottom line, and it impacts ours. Everybody wins. If we remove empty miles, everybody wins. And we like we often said, like, we save the earth. Like, it's not, obviously, like, there's more to do there, but I found that concept like fascinating. And so I think like that night it was like, well, we're getting started. We're doing this. I remember coming home, and my wonderful wife was like, she saw me, I was a little tipsy after a few beers, and I'm like, I'm starting a trucking company. And I'll always remember, she looks at me, she's like, sure you are. Sure you are. Go to bed.
You're a sweetheart.
It's like, go to bed. And I think she still doesn't believe it. It's been 8.5 years. I think she's like, yeah, but you started a trucking company. But yeah.
Wait, Salama, when you go to her family's in Alabama, will you say like, "Oh, I'm a trucker"?
No. I have way too much respect for truck drivers to call myself one. No.
I know, but you gotta fit in Alabama, so you gotta be like, "Yo, what the fuck? I know a truck." No, that was very New York.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was just saying, that doesn't sound like Alabama.
If Mel was with us right now, she would tell us how to say it Alabama style.
Yeah. Mel.
Oh my god! So I love that. I love when I looked at your website, by the way, which by the way, it's a very beautiful website. I did love that you talked about sustainability, but really the most important thing to me was this part on your website. And y'all go to Transfix. I think it's .io. Is it .io or .com? I can't remember. .io. And so you can see they have a little, which I think everybody should have, but they have this tracker that shows, how many women we've hired in our entire employee pool. They don't say how many minorities, smartly so. They say how many people of color, and they even say how many women are on the board too. I love that. I think that's very edgy. I think that's very important in our industry. I think our industry is still trying to like catch up with diversifying and getting people with different perspectives. I love that your CEO, by the way, is a woman.
I mean, I have 2 daughters, and I'm married. My wife is Asian, so they came up sort of mixed. We never know whether we check white or Asians, but like, or middle, but like, they're going to be the minority, and they're going to be women. And if we like, if I like have a company and I can't like make it like more diverse, like, I'm like, we're part of the problem. So I want them to, I'm very focused on wanting them to grow up in a world where they can do whatever they want. It starts with everybody doing their part. So we're very focused on it. We're very focused on hiring. I'm very proud of the ratio of women we have in engineering. Engineering is also like, we've got trucking and we've got engineering, like 2 sectors that are like difficult in terms of keeping the right, like, the balance. I don't know about the right balance, but keeping a balance of diversity, and that's just really important.
I agree. I love it. I feel like you guys are good leaders of our industry. You drink good beer, by the way, unlike Beth Howard. And I'm very excited that you joined us. I thank you very, very much. Is there anything else we need to know about Transfix? Is there anything you're working on? Anything else? You had already released a big product at FreightWaves, which you guys all can find on FreightWaves' website, by the way. You can see Salama in the product that he rolled out. But I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything else. And if not, that's fine too.
No, we're always working. We're always working on new things. Like the important part is like we're always up to something. The important part is how we're very customer focused, but that means both our supply side, our carriers, and our shippers, and we'll do what it takes to help the industry on both sides, because I do believe that that's we all win when all parties win. So we're focused on both.
Love it. Thank you very, very, very much for joining us. And y'all want to find, it's Jonathan Salama. You can look him up on LinkedIn. You can send him a message. You can see his presentation on FreightWaves website. I think it's freightwavestv.com actually that might have a replay of the presentation. And for all y'all who are wondering why you missed the FreightWaves conference that we all had fun with, and I hope you got FOMO on because I told you what happened. We have another one coming up. I believe it's in October, and it's in Chattanooga. I'm so excited. I love Chattanooga. So I hope you all are going to be there because I'm going to be there and I'm going to have a great time. The Boiler Room boys are going to be there. Salama, are you going to be in Chattanooga? I hope so. If not, I'll put it in his calendar behind his back.
I don't know. I think we'll find out.
You get an alert that you're going to be in Chattanooga. And I want you to know, Salama, if you like beer, Chattanooga is a great town for beer and whiskey. And they even have this really cool sweet hazy. It's a very cool town. Yes.
I like both very
you love
much,
it.
so.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll see everybody next Friday on MadGaines Live.
The supply chain hasn't fundamentally changed much in the past 1,000 years. Whether it's hauling grain or consumer goods, the process involves manual labor, some chaos, and a little bit of luck to get things safely from point A to point B. However, with recent technologies like automation and machine learning, we may enter into a new paradigm shift. What this shift means for the supply chain and the challenges and opportunities it brings are the topic for this episode of Loaded and Rolling. The modern supply chain is built upon complexity and isn't always incentivized to help the other parts upstream or downstream. We can't place too much blame on the inefficiencies unless we acknowledge the fact that those who ship goods want it done as cheaply as possible, while those who haul goods want the most money they can get for moving it. This state of nature has been the status quo for most of modern human history. What is new, however, is the changing role technology plays in breaking this cycle. Now with automation and machine learning, we have greater control and visibility into who pays for what, how much, and how to get it there faster. This future of freight is not without a cost. These costs involve the potential for a fundamental change in how we transport and store goods. With drones, autonomous vehicles, and blockchain technologies, this brave new world can seem scary for some, but exciting for others. Joining us today to talk about this seismic shift in the supply chain as well as what the future holds is Hans Christian Heinbeck, or Chris, founder and CEO of Treckle, a freight and mobility solutions provider that helps connect all parts of our fragmented supply chain. Chris has been implementing and working with innovators on disruptive technologies for over the past 25 years. So I'm very proud to welcome Chris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And it's just a pleasure. And as we start diving in here, looking into the supply chains, COVID had a huge impact on it. You know, do you see any other factors, or is COVID kind of the biggest thing that's been moving this change in our supply chain?
That's a really good question. I think I do see other factors. In fact, I think that what we're about to experience, the seismic shift that you had mentioned, is going to happen with or without COVID. We're at the outset of a really big changes, and I think we can all feel it, right? We see elements of it, you know, whether it's drones, autonomous trucks, etc., all around us. When you really look at it, supply chains haven't changed for thousands of years. You know, I think the best we can probably claim is that we figured out how to use some internal combustion engines. If you look at the Inventors Hall of Fame, right, there aren't many supply chain people in there. You know, there's McLean with a container, there's McKinley Jones with a reefer, Parkinson with GPS, and Woodland and Silver with barcodes. That's about it, right? So what we're about to experience is very exciting. You know, and at the same time, I think what the pandemic has really brought to the table is it made it clear to everybody how important supply chains are. One of the things I noticed,
I was talking about how important it was when you were telling me about how, there were so few people in the Inventors Hall of Fame that actually did supply chains. What are some of these things that you've started to notice in regards to some of these seismic shifts?
Yeah, this is a really good question. When I looked, and when we started at my company, we started to look at supply chains about 4 years ago, and what was about to change. And obviously, it was clear at the time that we would have a lot of changes coming, right? AI and machine learning were developing. We have, obviously, in supply chain planning and so on, we have a lot of technology that's coming into play now. On the physical movement of goods, which fundamentally hasn't changed since we went from horse carts to trucks, we now obviously see a lot of things changing. And what I can see is that it reduces the complexity of supply chains dramatically. You know, when you really think about it, you know, the economist Adam Smith, right, coined the term invisible hand, and he wrote about it in a book in 1759. Moral Sentiments. And what it comes down to is, I mean, he was walking through London in mid 1700s, and he was noticing all the stuff that was there, right? And he ultimately realizes, well, there's an invisible hand, right? There's